Hi, everybody. My name is Patricia Villegas, and I want to welcome you all to How to Upgrade Your Mindset and Its Potential. It's an honor to be a speaker for the Radius Agent Summit. And today we honor Black History Month, the diversity and the beauty of a diverse population. So I'm very excited to be here today and talk to you all about a very important component, which is our mindset. A little bit about myself. My name is, again, Patricia Villegas, but you could call me Patty. I'm a college professor at Evergreen Valley College, where I teach career development and college success. I'm a board director for ECSV, Educare California, Silicon Valley, where I am a board member that makes decisions to implement for children 0 to 5 to promote healthy brain development. I'm also the educational chair for the NAREP San Ramon chapter, along with Michael Bardalas from the director for the Radius Agent Realty. And so I have my bachelor's degree from San Jose State and a master's degree from USC. I have experience in counseling where I provided counseling to individuals with negative thinking by using cognitive behavioral therapy. So most recently, I just launched a business called VP Consulting. And VP Consulting is dedicated to helping the Latinx millennials expand and advance in their careers and in leadership. The main reason why I created this consulting business is because growing up as a first generation Latina, I struggle with my mindset. I struggle with understanding my value. And I realized that a really important component was relationship building. So here I have a diagram of my business where I focus on teaching career development and professional development trainings to tech companies to promote advancement and business investment towards clients and different companies in the growth mindset, value, and relationship building. So this strategy and this diagram is ultimately what I preach and what I practice, because I realized that it didn't matter what credentials I had. It didn't matter what other people thought of me. It really mattered what I thought about myself. And ultimately also my value, being sure of what I provide, what I bring to the table, what were my skills and my talents. And like I mentioned, being first generation, it was difficult for me to determine what were these key things about myself that will allow me to flourish in the workforce. And so the last component that I'll be teaching is about relationship building and how to create these relationships so that you could create a more, I believe, like a more, like, I apologize, everyone. I'm a little nervous right now, but how to create strategic relationships for career advancement and business advancement. So having the right mindset. So as we all know, having the right mindset is a key component to achieving business success, relationship success, education success, and in general, just having a more fulfilled life. And so having the right mindset is a determining factor if you will live a happy life. How we think about ourselves. Every decision that we make will determine what you do and your outcome in your everyday decisions. And so the reason why this is an important component to cover is because ultimately you could have the best business plan, you could be the best entrepreneur, but if you're allowing negative thoughts to interfere with your mindset and what you're capable of achieving, you're never going to reach your full potential. So today, what I hope to cover with you all are strategies to be able to overcome these negative thoughts about ourselves and really reaching our full potential. And so we will be going over how our culture, our family, and our values are cultivated and implement these thoughts that we have, and how do we change those inner thoughts so that we could best promote our full self. So what shapes our identity and what makes you you? So I want to take it back to science. Science states that 0 to 7 years old, we adapt to everything that we learn in our environment. So for instance, in our culture, our education system, our experience, we are creating these identities that are taught to us within these social environments. So let me give you an example. In the education system, Black and Brown communities are more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD, are more likely to be placed on special ed classes, and are more likely to be labeled as the bad children. So what this creates is a belief that we're not capable, that we're limited. that we don't have our full capacity. And so what I am preaching here and what I'm showing you all is that although, yes, it is very common sense that our belief system is created by our environment, it's important to revisit this area. Where do we create that negative thought about ourselves, and how do we change that into a positive way of thinking? Because we have been part of socializations that have created these labels for ourselves. And I want to just highlight that although some things are positive, many things have been negative, and that's what deteriorates us from being and reaching our full potential. Another belief that I want you guys to all keep in mind is that when we experience trauma, trauma is a strong indicator as to what it is and how we achieve success. And so unfortunately, our Black and Brown community experienced a tremendous amount of adversity. That means low socioeconomic statuses. We are more likely to experience DV in the home, less likely to go to college, etc. So when you think about your current belief system and how it was cultivated, I want you to keep in mind who taught you this. Was it your culture? Was it the education system? Was it a negative experience that you once encountered, right? And so our belief system then creates our values. Our values are indicators of what we find are important. And so that means that when you create a belief about something specifically, you now hold that to a high value or high regard. And so, for instance, for me, I value integrity, and that's something that my mother taught me when I was younger. And so that then shows in my behavior. I'm huge on integrity. I practice that in my everyday work. And so I want you guys all to keep that in mind, that your identity is really shaped on what was taught to you. Now, because everything was taught to us from the age of 0 to 7 years old, we tend to act and think like those that were around us during that age, and we adapt to that behavior or those thoughts. We do take those behaviors and those thoughts into adulthood. So as an adult, probably in my adolescence and when I was 18, 19 years old, I'll give you all an example. I strongly believe that my intelligence was actually something that was inherited. Like, I wasn't born intelligent. I wasn't able to develop new skills. And really what that taught me was because I was being measured by my intelligence in the education system by test measurements. Didn't mean that I wasn't capable. It just meant that I was taught something growing up, and that created this belief. So I really want you guys all to keep in mind that your belief system makes a huge difference on what you're going to reach and how far you're going to go in life. And if you really analyze where are those beliefs coming from and kind of decide which comments are not worthy of you, then we should be practicing a little bit more on how do we challenge those negative thinking. So, the psychology of success. Dr. Carol Dweck, the PhD, Stanford University psychologist, did amazing, extensive amount of research on the power of the mindset. Her work, we found that people can have different perspectives and talents and abilities. So what she found is that people are able to have two different perspectives. You either believe growth mindset, that you're able to obtain additional talents through practice, persistency, and by not giving up, or you have a fixed mindset where you avoid challenges. You do not want to interfere with anything that makes you uncomfortable or anything that makes you feel unsmart. And so what she mentioned is that individuals with a fixed mindset are having many setbacks. They're not reaching their full potential, and they're going to find themselves in the same place at the same arena almost every single time. A person with the growth mindset will understand failure, will understand the value of learning and trying again until you ultimately reach your full potential. So some examples of fixed mindset and the growth mindset would be people with a fixed mindset avoids challenges. They stay away from things that they don't know, unable to handle criticism or feedback, do not carry out any action without seeking approval. Focus on proving yourself. Threatened by the success of others, effort is not regarded fruitful, understanding failure as the limit of ability, and gives up easily. So a person with a growth mindset views challenges as an opportunity, acknowledge and embrace their weaknesses. They learn to give and receive constructive criticism. Intelligence and talent is dynamic and ever improving. Priorities learning over seeking approval, focus on the process instead of the end result. So again, focus on the process instead of the end result. That is a key factor as to if you will be able to achieve your ultimate goal. Because if we just look at the outcome and what is it that we want to reach and we don't focus on the process, we're never really going to get there. So a person with a growth mindset understands this. They are inspired by other success. They don't envy, they don't wish that that was them. If anything, they try to learn from them. They understand the value of learning and the value of what it takes to get there as well. And so when we think about the both mindsets, the research shows that individuals with a growth mindset are highly intelligent and are mainly all the billionaires and millionaires and anybody who reaches to the next level will have a growth mindset because they don't give up easily. And so the goal is here to understand that if you have any tactics of a fixed mindset, to really start analyzing how can I improve my mindset so that I could have more of a growth mindset? What are the strategies that I can practice to have a growth mindset on my day-to-day life? So some science behind the growth and mindset. Scientists have discovered that a person with a growth mindset, neurons are not activating. So this picture here shows that a person who made an error with a fixed mindset, their neurons are not connecting. And a person with a growth mindset that created an error, the neurons are activating. So that means that their brain is becoming stronger. They're developing their skills. And so repeated experiences of strengthening connections will ultimately make you smarter. It'll create more intelligence in your brain. And so when you're looking at a fixed mindset, people that run away from a mistake, people that don't really value the process of learning, they're really not creating these neurons and these activations in your brain. So what that means is that the connections are disappearing and you're less likely to flourish. And so when individuals fail, oftentimes we think we're not good enough. This is not something that I'm just gonna give up because this is not meant for me. But what you're really doing is creating these activities in your brain that makes you more intelligent. And also, when you're creating these new neuron connections in your brain, what tends to happen is that you're improving your focus, you're improving your attention span. And so it's actually like a type of medicine when you're faced with challenges and you actually face the challenge versus running away. So this is a very important component to keep in mind. The next time you come with a challenge, the next thing that something doesn't happen overnight in the first day, second day, or in the 1 week, understand that it's actually benefiting the brain activity and it's actually making you stronger. You're more likely to have a greater attention span when you're older, even in your 50s and 60s as well, if you go ahead and you understand this process and you develop them over time. Okay. So how do you know when you have a growth and fixed mindset? Some of you guys may be thinking, what are some things that I do right now that I can know if I have a growth or fixed mindset? So ask yourself, are you constantly judging yourself or seeking ways to improve? Do you stay in comfort zones or accept some challenges? Can you receive criticism or feedback without getting angry and defensive? When you fail, do you give up after the first couple of tries or keep on going? So if any of these questions, if you said yes, like I constantly judge myself instead of ways of improving, you may be on the spectrum of having a fixed mindset. Do you stay in the comfort zone? So if you are not allowing yourself to be in a place where you feel fear, to be in a place where you feel out of the area that you're used to, you may not be practicing this growth mindset ability. I'll tell you all something. Before I started making presentations and teaching people about growth mindset and the value of relationship building, I kid you not, my main thought was, no, I can't do this because I've never done it. But I accepted the challenge. I accepted the challenge of being able to be presenting in front of others because I told myself I can't grow in my comfort zone. So anything that fears you, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, you have to go out and do that. So that will be, then you'll know when you have a growth mindset. If you find yourself also getting very upset at your boss or your colleagues when they give you feedback on your work, you want to understand that sometimes that feedback will make you better. Those criticisms will make you a better worker, a better entrepreneur, a better leader. And so you have to be open-minded as well, that even though they give you criticism, it may just be an opinion, it may be true, it may be something that makes you better, but you have to be able to take that criticism and not be offensive about it. So some 8 tips to improving your mindset: think about internal judgments and make them more reasonable to you. So what this means is that when you are thinking about you're judging yourself when you're performing or when you are completing a task, ask yourself, is this reasonable? Can I do something else to not feel this way? I'll give you an example. I have internal judgments about myself and my ability to be organized. Sometimes I wonder, like, I'm not organized, I'm not this, I'm not that. I keep focusing on what I'm not, right? But what's more reasonable? More reasonable is me making a plan on how to become more organized, being more reasonable with myself and saying, hey, you didn't grow up with these talents of being organized, but you can learn. So be more reasonable about yourself and understand that you're able to grow these talents and anything that you're judging yourself about. Also, analyze your thoughts and pay attention to the language that you are using. So your language and what you choose and how you choose to articulate that information makes a huge impact on how you feel about yourself. So are you telling yourself, I can't and I'm not? Are those words that you're constantly hearing yourself say? If that's the case, I want to challenge you all to replace it with the power of yet. So when you use the power of yet, not yet, then that would be like you're looking into the future now. So it hasn't happened, not yet. So for instance, if you are currently creating a business and you're not at the numbers where you want to reach, and you're saying, I'm not there yet. And so you're kind of training your mind to think positive about the future and about your potential. When you say, I have not, I'm not going to, you're never going to really get there, because you have to believe in yourself before anybody else can believe in yourself. So saying the word not yet is extremely powerful. They actually did a study on this as well, that a group of individuals who were test taking, who ended up saying not yet before when they took the test, and they used not yet instead of a grade, ended up performing a lot better the next time around. And so that, don't undermine that word not yet. It's actually, research have found that it's very effective. So I would highly recommend that you use that word. When given the choices to grow, choose the challenging task. Again, if you are given an opportunity to apply for that leadership position, to be the CEO, to be the executive, to start a business, do that. There's a first to everything. There's a first time of being an employee. There's a first day to starting your business. There's a first day of being a leader for a board. Whatever the situation may be for you, understand that there's a first time to everything. And everyone has a first day. Even the president has the first day as a president, right? And so how is it that our president became the president just like that? No, he believed that he could do that. And so now we are here talking about empowering you to take those challenges, even though they may feel scary, because that's going to create the best you and cultivate the best mindset for you. 4, acknowledging and embracing imperfections. No one is perfect. No one comes in a perfect package. Everybody has their individual skills and talents that they provide to the table. Your strengths are completely different than other people's strengths. And so what I want you all to keep in mind is that when you're here judging, your work or your ability to do a specific task, understand that Everyone has their own perfections. No one brings everything to the table. You may be very well at writing documents and closing deals. Someone else may be extremely doing well in leadership and creating this mindset mentality for their employees. Everybody is an individual and bring your own unique concept. So I want you all to embrace your imperfections and understand that a growth mindset can develop those skills over time anyhow. So go ahead and acknowledge and embrace those things. Try different learning tactics. So when something doesn't work, go ahead and try a different method. What I've learned working in my new job is that when you're trying to create a goal, you have to be able to try different ways on reaching that goal. One way may not work the first time, the second way may not work the second time. So it's really important to just really understand, like, it's a learning curve. It may take you 20 times before you actually get that down. And so understanding that learning tactics and trying different ways and methods is ultimately a way to improve your train of thought. Stop seeking approval. Oftentimes, we keep wanting to find approval from people. And keep in mind that their opinion does not define who you are and what you're capable of. So even if a person didn't approve you, how that is it to you, right? That should not matter, because in the end of the day, their approval or not, you're still valuable and you still bring things to the table that other people may not. And so don't seek people's approval. If anything, try to find your inner self, your inner worth, and that will help you achieve to the next level. 7, replace the word failing with learning. We've all been here before, where we look at something, we did something, and we feel like we failed. We failed our company, we failed our employees, we failed the idea of starting and launching a successful business. It's a learning process. Every failure that you do is a learning process. You have to be able to understand that this learning curve will take years of learning before you get to your initial goal sometimes. And so what I always like to keep in mind is that every decade, we are a complete different person. The person that we were 10 years ago is completely different from the person that we are today, correct? So when we are understanding this learning curve, that means every decade we have to learn new things to cultivate our new selves. And so keep that in mind, that it's never a failure, because it's always a stepping stone to where you are trying to accomplish. And last but not least, value the process over the ending result. Always know that every little thing that you do, whether it's big or small, is closer to the ending result. Don't focus on how far you are behind. Don't compare yourself with others, and understand that their process is completely different. You may be comparing yourself with someone who's been doing what you want to do 20 years deep. So focus on you, your process. Where do you want to do? Create those goals for yourself in 6 months, 8 months, 12 months. Where do you see yourself? And then go ahead and be patient with yourself. If you have a fixed mindset, you're going to become agitated and you're going to quit. But just understanding that goal setting and focusing on the ultimate goal will really set you apart from that growth mindset that you need. So I want to finish it off by saying a quote by Henry A. Ford, and he mentions that failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. And I think this is really important for us to comprehend, because oftentimes the media, or even in general, when something goes wrong, we feel like we are not worthy, or it just felt horrible and we're afraid to go back at it again. But ultimately, it's really making us more intelligent. If there's anything that you took away from this PowerPoint, is understand that learning is essential. Learning is a process, and learning is try after try, and only then you'll create the person that you want to become. It's not about what other people think of you, but simply what you know about yourself. And so if there's anything that you learn from this training, is understanding the science behind the power of having a growth mindset, and understanding that you're able to create talents and abilities, and science proves that over and over again, that you're able to become that person that you would like to be with time and process. So I want to thank you all for joining me on the growth mindset presentation. And if you guys all have any questions, feel free to ask.